thank you so much for your time this evening, Mr. Gumbi. Just to give us a sense of whether you have any more details around the sudden tragedy that has befallen the Shai family as well as the arts fraternity. Do we know what are some of the details surrounding his death?
I thank you, Slindela, for this opportunity. And I think first and foremost, we need to send our sincere condolences to the family of Mr. Shai, from the cultural institutions, from all the artistic people, that we say his work has been impressive and most important. And we don't have any more details other than what we've read in the media. And of course, one thing that is also worth noting at this stage is to really honor the family's request for privacy. So we're not going to go and dig, but what we can do is speak at length about the colossal work that he leaves behind.
Certainly so. I mean, the legacy that Mr. Patrick Shai leaves behind is really one that's one to be boastful about. Just take us through some of your highlights or some of your favorite moments with working with Mr. Patrick Shai.
I think Mr. Patrick Shai, first, I think his tragic death, it's somebody who is in his 60s. We were still expecting more. As you would know, when an artist passes away, a layer of society is removed, because you find that artists are interwoven in what society deals with on a day-to-day basis. Here is somebody who has been into our stages as the market and various other theatrical pieces that he has done, and transitioned and went into television, including film. And if you are able to do that as an artist within one lifetime, it's always regarded as somebody who's fully rounded, somebody who's impactful to do that. As you would know, art is a very demanding profession. And he has even an additional layer of accolade, where he's had an experience with gender-based violence, him being a perpetrator and coming out into the public discourse, and then trying to change the narrative of how one can change when they've been an oppressor or a perpetrator, towards being on the other end of the victims and helping them find healing and remove the stigma and trauma. And I think that has given him authenticity, both as an actor and also as a man, to simply say he has been part of the fabric of the very same society that he's tried to entertain for the last 30 years of his life.
Mr. Gumbi, what lessons do we take from the life that Mr. Patrick Shai lived? As you correctly stated, that he came out, he outed himself as a perpetrator of gender-based violence, but also started an organization to try and, resolve and solve the issue of GBV. What lessons do we take from the honesty of this man's life?
I think the honesty is the first thing about life, is that we're never looking for perfect human beings. We're looking for people who own up to the best of who they are, and also own up to the worst of who they are, with the proviso that they are always trying to improve and become better individuals. I think that is the key stroke or master stroke and the genius in him. But more secondly, we want to say there are elements of mental health that are coming to the fore without it being confirmed in the nature at which he has passed on. We're simply wanting to speak to the younger people who are often expressive about mental health issues, to say to them, no matter how difficult the situation they are dealing with, there's always help out there, even if the help that they're receiving is simply not enough at that present moment. We simply say they must hang on there and then try and find more avenues, and also ask the older generation, people who are parents, people who are practitioners, and people who are in powerful positions, to say, whenever there's a sign of weakness or vulnerability, let us not ignore those. Let us always pause. That is why in our languages as Africans, we always ask umuntu, "Ukuthi sawubona kunjani?" All of those things are meant to pause, so that when somebody tells you their story, we are able to intervene positively and change their day.
I mean, Mr. Shai really touched many lives, not only through his acting, but his organization. But for those who want to get into the arts industry, what can you say they can take from the kind of legacy Mr. Shai leaves behind with the arts fraternity?
Well, the arts is a jealous craft, very demanding. And from the past perception of it has always been one that is an enclave of a certain few, where it does not pay you that well, but the joy and the passion that you are able to express and receive has been more than what it lacks in the payment. And over the last couple of years, many of us have tried to make it more mainstream. When I say mainstream, we're talking about now the paycheck, that it is an industry choice or a profession that if you choose it completely, it can sustain your life and that of your family. And I think that is what we need to continue to push through. And of course, we know that COVID occurred and we've had to cut down on the numbers of artists and art productions that are all in play, and including the numbers for COVID purposes. But outside of that, it is still a compelling industry to come in. And I think Mr. Shai, in his 30-odd years of being in the profession, he is simply a testament to say he has transitioned from when it was most difficult to now when it's still difficult but better, and I think more improvements can be done. And to say to young people who want to pursue such a profession to give it their all, give it their best, and they have people like us who are always trying to drive funding, drive professionalism, drive commercialization into the sector so that it is a sustainable profession for people to live.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Gumbi. Really quite some impactful thoughts there around the legacy of Mr. Patrick Shai. Thank you so much for your time this evening.